Hello and welcome to a discussion video on some of the recent news from Big Finish, what has dropped today, and you know what the news is from the title of the video. And yeah, bit of backstory for this, I guess. On Sunday from the recent Big Finish podcast, it was teased that there would be a announcement on Friday. Now, most of us jumped on the boat saying, oh, it's going to be the Georgina Moffat stuff, we're going to get a Doctor's Daughter box set basically, because the Radio Times leaked it a couple of weeks ago and Georgina Moffat retweeted it going, hey, I'm in this. But it turns out the news is something completely different and something quite out the blue, and apparently it's been in the pipelines for like a year or maybe even more. And that is the First Doctor Adventures. Now, this isn't any ordinary First Doctor box set. God, this just sounds like an M&S advert. The First Doctor box set, the First Doctor Adventures is essentially the Adventure in Space and Time crew. David Bradley playing the First Doctor, Gemma Powell playing Barbara, Jamie Glover playing Ian, and we have Claudia Grant playing Susan. Now, my initial reaction to this box set, there's two box sets which I'll talk about in a minute, was why? Why does this exist? Does this need to happen? Is it basically a bit of a cash grab on David Bradley returning in the Christmas episode? So my initial reaction was, why is this a thing? Because, call me a traditionalist, but it just seems a bit disrespectful in the sense that, William Russell, Carole Ann Ford are still around, and essentially the whole First Doctor companion crew are alive in some form in Big Finish, except Dodo, because Jackie Lane doesn't want anything to do with Dodo. And we've got Elliot Chapman voicing Ben now, so we've essentially got the whole First Doctor era on Big Finish. Now the stories, we've got the first box set out in January, which is pretty soon. And each set contains 2 stories, and I believe that the whole idea of this box set, or this sort of set of stories, are meant to emulate the early days of Doctor Who, to sort of be historical and sort of educational, to learn about science and history. So that's what it's meant to be, sort of look at the early days of Big Doctor Who, not Big Finish. So the first 2 stories in the box set are the Destination Wars by Matt Fitton, and the second story, The Great White Hurricane by Guy Adams too. Very good writers. Matt Fitton's kind of hit and miss for me, but he's done some very good work, and I'm quite excited to see how he writes for them, because I presume it's just essentially you're writing for the First Doctor and TARDIS team. And the second story, The Great White Hurricane by Guy Adams, Guy Adams is a very good writer as well. Very nice upcoming Big Finish writer, really, even though he's done quite a bit. And I presume that they're going to be taking place in New York, from the skyline, from the cover. And we have a second box set out in July 2018, we have The Invention of Death, which sounds very 60s, by John Dorney. So that should be a very good story. And we have the second story, The Barbarians and Samurai, by Andrew Smith. And that sounds like a very sort of typical historical 60s story, I guess. The stories, from what we've got from the title, sound very good, and the writers, it's in pretty much safe hands. And we do have some of the monsters confirmed, like the Ashtalians, but the main one is the Master. That you might be wondering, who's that other fellow on the cover? That's supposedly the first Master, I believe, and that's another thing I'm a bit iffy on. I don't know if it's made clear in the TV series, but Roger Delgado, I think it is made clear in the TV series, because obviously Crispy Master, that Roger Delgado isn't the first Master, but to me, Roger Delgado is the definitive Master, and it to me just seems like that was the starting point for the Master. So I don't know how I feel. It's a bit like how I felt with the First Doctor facing the Sontarans, and I was gladly proven wrong with that, and that turned out to be one of the best releases of 2016, the Sontarans, and I highly recommend that First Doctor audio. Like I said, it seems like a very interesting idea, with us getting sort of the Adventure in Space and Time sort of team back reunited. And I will say this, that Gemma Powell has done Big Finish in the past. I think she did Age of Endurance and The Fifth Traveller, which I've listened to Age of Endurance, and she didn't really get much to do within that because she's essentially captured within it. And Fifth Traveller, I've only listened to like part 1 of it. Yeah, I mean, I think the way we've got to look at it, if you're very sort of angry and sort of you're a traditionalist like me, who's sort of like, oh, is this a step too far for Big Finish? You just got to think, is this sort of meant to be like a reimagining of the First Doctor? Sort of, I guess the way you can look at it is another Unbound First Doctor, like, you know, what Big Finish used to do, the Unbound range with like David Warner and Jeffrey Belden, you know. So that's one way you can look at it, that it is essentially a sort of a reimagining like Big Finish do with The Prisoner, and sort of a Doctor Who Unbound, really. And I think that's the way I'm probably going to look at it. So yeah, I've technically been positive and negative, so I've sided up really. So there. Will I be getting the set? I probably will, just to try it out to see what the fuss is about and see whether it, you know, whether it is worth getting for you. So I will be reviewing that in the near future when it's released. And that kind of concludes it. That my reactions is kind of gone from being totally against it to kind of being warming to the idea slightly, if you look at it in a sort of a reimagining Unbound sort of way to it. But yeah, it'd be interesting because obviously this leaves the question, will David Bradley now be in the Companion Chronicles voicing the First Doctor? Personally, I don't really want to see that. I just want David Bradley to stick to this section of the First Doctor, not be introduced into the Companion Chronicles Early Adventures and Short Trips, because I feel like William Russell, Peter Purvis, you know, do a smashing job. Though there is a rumour going around that William Russell has stopped working for Big Finish. That is a rumour. I don't know if that's entirely true, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether William Russell does that, because we didn't get any Companion Chronicles stories this year featuring Ian and Susan as well. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that rumour is true. So that kind of concludes this little reaction, I guess. I'm very sceptical, but kind of warming to. I mean, the main thing what I'm against really is the Master. That's the main thing what I'm kind of against at the minute. But we'll have to wait and see. I haven't seen the person playing the Master in action yet, so I might be being a bit early to judge. But yeah, that whole idea of the First Doctor meeting the Master doesn't really gel with me. That's all I can really say. So that really concludes this video. My next video will be a review of Time in Office, one of the recent main range releases. It was going to be the Silurian Candidate, but that hasn't arrived, so that's why Time in Office has been pushed forward, because that's arrived first. So that should be out hopefully on Saturday. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please let me know your thoughts on this box set, whether you're for it or against it, or you're on the fence. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you very much, and I'll see you in the review of Time in Office. Bye bye.